So I think I'm going to have to start calling this series What Did the Goblins in My Head Make Me Make This Month? Because I haven't been able to rest until I made this journal. I have so many notebooks lying around, but most of them are lined, and I wanted something that could withstand paint and glue and anything else I decided to chuck in there. I also wanted to make it just from things I had lying around my house. I didn't want to spend any money on this at all. But I have tried bookbinding in the past, and I'm mainly saying that because I have things lying around that you probably don't have lying around, like a book press. But I will leave a link below to the video that helped me make this a few years ago, and also videos that helped me learn how to bookbind. As usual, this is not a tutorial, this is more watch me try not to fail making something, and I hope you enjoy the ride. So I'm going to go gather materials and I will meet you back at Ugly Handcam. So for this project, all I really used was sticky back plastic, a bone folder, an awl, patterned papers, 2 pads of watercolour paper including the card backing of the pads, glue and needle and thread. So the first thing I had to do was fold the pieces of paper in half. I used a bone folder to make sure these creases were nice and crisp, and because this paper is very thick to fold otherwise. I put them into piles of 4, these are called signatures, and then I stacked these on top of each other. In total I had 4 stacks of 4. Then I had to mark where all the holes would be. So to do this I found the centre and then marked 1-inch intervals going outwards until I got to the edge, and then I transferred this mark onto all of the papers. After that I lay its signature flat and poke the holes in. This took a lot of time because this paper was so thick. It honestly was the worst part of this whole project. Once they were all done, I could sew them together. I followed a video by a YouTuber called Sea Lemon on how to bookbind, and I'll link that below, as I'm not going to go into too much details about the process of sewing, but I will tell you that it was very tangly and I also did not enjoy. I know you can coat the thread in beeswax and it will help strengthen it and hopefully stop the tangliness. And even though I knew that going in, I for some reason didn't do that. So I'm just putting it fresh in your minds. Once they were all sewn together, and then had to put the book block in my book press and glue along the spine. Once this had dried, I glued a scrap piece of paper along the edge to try and help strengthen it, and then I left it to dry whilst I got working on the cover. I do still have some grey board left over from my last dalliance with bookbinding, but I decided that the back of these watercolour pads was basically the same as grey board anyway. I measured these out to be just a tiny bit bigger than the book itself, and this is why I needed 2 backing pieces, even though I didn't quite use 2 full pads of paper. I measured out 2 covers and then a spine piece. And then I stuck these to the sticky back plastic. This isn't the kind of material I'd envisioned the cover to be. I'd had in my mind something dark and romantic, but I was determined to not spend any money on this project, and this is all I had really. It's light and it's floral and it's not particularly magical, but it did the job, and I think being sticky back plastic actually helped a lot, because for one, it meant I didn't have to glue it, and as you know, I hate PVA glue with a passion. I just need it, unfortunately, a lot. It also meant I didn't have to wait for anything to dry, and it was a lot smoother to get all the air bubbles out. So I lay my pieces out, allowing a small gap between each one to allow it to curve around the cover. And I snipped the corners, folded it in, smoothed out all the air bubbles, and then I had a cover. All that was left now was to attach the book block to the cover. But first I wanted to add a bookmark, so I glued a piece of ribbon to the top of the book block, fed it through, and then cut it down to size. Then came the end papers. Again, in my head I'd envisioned something dark and beautiful and romantic for these, but sometimes you just have to work with what you've got. And what I've got is something just a little bit more chickens. But I made it work. It fits the purpose, and its purpose is to attach the cover to the book block. And then it was done. I had a journal. I wanted something that was sturdy. I wanted something beautiful and positive, because all of my journals tend to just be me moaning about nothing. And I wanted something that I could look back on and it was a bit nicer, you know? And the best thing about this is that it's not going to last me the whole year. It barely lasts me a month if I draw in it every day. But that means that I get to make another one soon, and then another one, and then hopefully by the end of the year I'll have a bookshelf filled with these beautiful things, and they'll get better with each one that I make, and my drawing will get better and my creativity will get better. And I'm just really excited to this time next year have, hopefully, if I can stick with it, a whole shelf filled with beautiful memories from the year.